All right, what is going on, guys? Good morning. Stage number 10 results for the 2025 Dakar Rally. Yeah, definitely some sandbagging going on. But anyway, let's get to it. Let's talk a little bit about it. So, today's stage we know is an empty quarter. It was the absolutely longest ever, well, for this rally, the 2025 Dakar Rally, it is the longest liaison that these guys had to do, roughly over 300 miles, clocking in just over 500 kilometers for these guys. So very, very, very long liaison, followed by a very short stage, 116 kilometers of basically just dunes, sand and dunes the whole way. So short stage, we knew that this could be, I mean, honestly, the writing was on the wall. I did the interview last night, or we talked with David Pearson, Dakar veteran. He was there 2 years ago as part of 1/5 of the American Rally Originals in the Malamoto category. So I'll link the, here, I'm going to point right there, and I'm going to attempt to put the video card right there for you guys to check it out. But that was the stage preview plus the interview with David Pearson that we did last night. Just uploaded it a little while ago. It took forever to come off the cloud and to be able to move it over to YouTube. But anyway, a lot of great stuff discussed. We talked a little bit about his experience there at the Dakar Rally, and then the effects of having such a long liaison and kind of how this plays a role in a stage. But could have guessed it that this was going to happen. A very short stage in the sand dunes, very difficult to really just make up, get hungry and make up a ton of time. It's not going to be the easiest. And some surprises. So let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the Moto results. Leading the way, picking up a stage win, is Doherty in that number 1 spot. Graphic is up on the screen so you guys can check it out. It is in the Rally 2 category, clocking in a time of 2 hours and 3 seconds for him. And then it is Gonçalves in the number 2 spot, 2 hours, 1 minute, and 23 seconds, finishing up 1 minute, 20 seconds back. And then Tobias Ebster in the Rally 2 category, getting that 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 24 seconds for him. So very different podium than we are used to seeing across all of these stages, or up until stage 10. So very interesting to see how this panned out. But the top 10 will kind of tell the story. Honestly, like I said, this was definitely some sandbagging going on. Going into the empty quarter, going to be a lot of dune stages. It is absolutely brutal, and it's absolutely difficult for these guys to be the guy that's opening the stage. For those playing the home game, opening the stage. Your finishing order on stage 10 is going to determine your starting order on stage 11. So if you know you've got a big dune stage and you know that the navigation in the dunes is extremely tricky, then you don't want to be the first one there. You're trying to make up as much time as possible. So speaking of as much time as possible, the further down the list you are, the finishers list, the more people you have in front of you for the start the next day. So let's take a look at the top 10 and you guys see what I'm seeing. So we've got Stefan Svitko finishing up 4th, 2 hours, 5 minutes, 13 seconds, 5:10 back. Edgar Canet in the number 5 spot, Red Bull Factory Racing, 2 hours, 5 minutes, 37 seconds. Skylar Howes in the number 6 spot, Monster Energy Honda, 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 2 seconds for him. Then Gelazanakis in that number 7 spot, Hodo Factory Racing, 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 2 seconds. Merlot in the number 8 spot, Spirit KTM, 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 36 seconds for him. Davisi in the number 9 spot, BAS World KTM Racing Team, 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 45 seconds, followed by Mulek, BAS World KTM Racing Team, 2 hours, 8 minutes, and 15 seconds for him. That is your top 10, and there's a few people missing. Let's get on down a little bit further there. So let's see here. The moment we cross over, Daniel Sanders finishing 11th in the stage, 8 minutes and 22 seconds back. And then Ricky Brabeck in the 13 spot, finishing 9 minutes and 9 seconds back. Luciano Benavides finishing 9:52 back in 16th place. The challenger for the podium, for the top spot on the podium, Tasha Sharena in the number 17 spot, finishing 10 minutes and 8 seconds back. Now, the number here on this one is Tasha finishing 17th at 10 minutes back. And then you have Daniel Sanders finishing at 8 minutes back. So Daniel Sanders picking up about another 2 minutes on Tasha in this stage. So This is just the stage result. Obviously, they're further apart that they are in a particular stage. Obviously, the more time someone is making up on somebody. So may not be at the top of the podium here, but in the overall results, it does reflect that. So we'll jump over to that here in just a second. But yeah, very interesting. Nacho Cornejo finishing up 23rd, 11 minutes and 27 seconds back. So still a fast stage. I mean, 11 minutes separating the top 23. That's still close enough. I don't think there was a lot of difficulties or tricky navigation in that sense. It's the dunes. But the guys that opened up, we're going to get obviously hosed the most going into this one. So let's take a look at the overall provisional results. Remember, these results are provisional until the organization puts their seal of approval on it and says, all right, yeah, we're good. Protests, things like that, time credits, all of those take time to process, and they can be a process. You know, the Dakar has and employs some, like, basically they're like an advocate for the motos, and they have an advocate for the vehicles, and they are there to kind of liaise between these guys and help, smoothen the process. But that still doesn't mean that it's a quick process. So we'll see how this goes. I think they're starting to catch up a little bit. I mentioned earlier in a previous episode that it looked like they were taking a bit of time to get to some of these protests. I could see where if there's a particular stage where there's a pretty much a hot spot in there, obviously the number goes up. But anyway, let's talk about moto overall results through stage 10. Right now, Daniel Sanders continues to lead the way. He is currently 49 hours, 53 minutes, and 59 seconds in. Remember, that's just the stage time. So with a little over 800 kilometers, roughly about 800 miles to go before the finish line, this is still, there's still chance for a lot of things to happen. So Daniel Sanders continuing to lead. Tasha Sharena in the number 2 spot, now going to be 16 minutes and 31 seconds back with a time of 50 hours, 10 minutes and 30 seconds for him. And then we've got Adrian Van Beveren in the number 3 spot, 50 hours, 16 minutes and 23 seconds. He is going to be 22 minutes and 24 seconds back. So that is your top 3 right now in the Rally GP, leading the way in the overall standings for the bikes. Talking top 10, Luciano Benavides in the number 4 spot, 50 hours, 23 minutes, and 13 seconds. He's going to be 29-14 back. Ricky Brabeck in the number 5 spot, 50 hours, 26 minutes, and 17 seconds, 32-18 back. Skylar Howes in the number 6 spot, 50 hours, 30 minutes, and 15 seconds. Currently sits 36 minutes, and 16 seconds back. Nacho Cornejo in the number 7 spot, Hero Motorsports Team Rally, 50 hours, 52 minutes, and 27 seconds for him, 58-28 back. Edgar Canet in the number 8 spot and leading the Rally 2 category, 51-24, 47 for him. He's an hour and a half back. Then it is Tobias Epster in the number 9 spot, BAS World KTM Racing Team, 51 hours, 59 minutes, and 39 seconds. So he is going to be 2 hours and 5 minutes back. And then taking a look, sitting in the 10th spot, you have got Stefan Svitko, Slanoff Rally Team, 52 hours, 4 minutes, and 6 seconds for him. So very interesting to see how this is shaking up. So top 10 still pretty spread out. I mean, once you get out of that 7 spot, then the time just grows pretty much exponentially. Number 7 currently occupied by Nacho Cornejo, and we're looking at about an hour difference between him and the leader. So that is, again, overall stage result or overall standings after stage 10. Again, results are provisional until the FIM puts their stamp of approval on this and they publish everything. So Jacob Argybright hanging out in 22nd place overall, currently with a time of 55 hours, 7 minutes, and 29 seconds. He's going to be sitting 5 hours and 13 minutes back. So very well done for him. Has a little ways to go. If we want to crawl, let's see here. The next guy up to him is going to be about 11 minutes ahead of him, and then a little bit more of a gap, getting closer to the 20 minutes. So very well done, though, on that RS Moto Honda that everybody's been looking at. Very nice bike, very well built, it looks like. I know he's been testing that bike for a while now, has done a couple of different rallies, and it's pretty awesome that Honda said, okay, we'll let you guys have this. So I am curious to see. Now, what I'm also curious to see, and I thought about this later, this is for the Baja guys out here, is What about one of these bikes? If you're able to get the tanks and you were able to get some kind of fairing on there, say like from Rebel X, could you have the adventure class handled? That would be the direct competition with the Cove. I haven't seen any Rally Factory replicas racing the class. That class currently is dominated by the Cove 450 Rally, but this could be a newcomer to the game. So I don't know. We'll see. Okay, that is enough about the bikes this time. Let's take a look at the vehicles. Top of the charts on this one, and I didn't even catch this, but the Dakar Rally ASO have introduced something new for this year for the cars. Well, if you're familiar with Glamis and the sand dunes here in the States, a lot of them are required to run safety flags. Well, the safety flags have officially made it to the Dakar, and now the vehicles are running these flags to help with the dune crossings and stages if they get turned around and they're coming back over. Sometimes it is about seconds. You know, if you could get on the brakes just a second earlier, you know, it could be a very different story. So with people in rally, one of the things to note in rally, you're going to make navigational mistakes and you are going to have to come back the way you came. And that just is part of it. You have to be wise about it. You know, if you're the driver that turns around and makes a 180 and heads back the way you came, there's likely somebody following you because, well, following tracks is usually a popular default for some riders and racers in rally. So if you do that, typically in a dusty section, you don't want to go back in your own dust. You want to make new dust somewhere else so that way, or just off the line, that way the person behind you has a clear view that either you're coming or they're just going to miss you completely because they're still in the dust that you had just laid down. So it's very, very critical. Even with the bikes is very, I mean, just a couple of years ago, I had the chance to work again with the Sonora Rally as a W2RC round. And there was an incident, I think it was that year or the year after, where one of the riders turned around in their own dust and went back the same way. And ultimately it led to a motorcycle and vehicle collision. I believe a dislocated thumb was the extent of that. And the bike obviously was done. Very, very scary moment for both the driver and obviously for the motorcycle racer. The motorcycle racer in great spirits, you know, just took it in stride. Obviously the driver of the UTV was a little bit more shooken about it, but you know, they are racers and you know, they know how to refocus their energy and refocus their brain. But I can only imagine, you know, the second that it happened. And so for those of you, this is that safety moment. If you guys participate in rally, always make sure you're very cognizant of where you're going back if you need to turn around. And, you know, if you're out there playing in the dirt and playing in the dunes and there's other people around, you know, there's no rules. You have to go this direction in most places. So stay safe. Anyway, okay. Let's rewind a little bit. Why we got down this track. Red flags or safety flags now required on the vehicles in the dune stages at the Dakar. So let's talk about the stage standings for the vehicles here really quick. All right. Hey, there's a name we haven't seen in a while. Nanny Roma picking up his first stage win for the 2025 Dakar Rally. He is in that Ford M Sport Raptor, 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 34 seconds for him. Moraes in the number 2 spot, Toyota Gazoo Racing. He is going to be 18 seconds back with a time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 52 seconds for him. And then it is Akil in the number 3 spot, Team BBR, 2 hours, 8 minutes, 14 seconds, finishing 1 minute and 40 seconds back. That is in the Challenger class. So very well done there. I believe that is the first time I've seen one of the Challenger cars on the podium this year for a stage at the Dakar Rally. So very well done there. Let's take a look at the top 10. Starting with number 4, Baragawantha in that number 4 spot. Century Factory team. 2 hours, 8 minutes, 55 seconds, finishing 2:21 back. Lopez Contardo in the number 5 spot. Can-Am Factory team finishing 4 minutes 11 seconds back. Gonzalez Ferrioli, Can-Am Factory team, finishing 4 minutes and 36 seconds back. 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 10 seconds stage time for him. Navarro in the number 7 spot. Team BBR, another Challenger vehicle, 2 hours, 11 minutes, and 18 seconds, finishing 4 minutes and 44 seconds back. Then it is Schroeder in that VW in the number 8 spot, PS Laser Racing, 2 hours, 11 minutes, 45 seconds, and going to be 5:11 back. Jacopini in the number 9 spot, Overdrive Racing, 2:11:52 for him, and finishing 5 minutes and 18 seconds back. And rounding out the top 10, Sarah Price, Can-Am Factory Team, 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 10 seconds, finishing 5:36 back. So very interesting to see. Here we go again. A lot of new names in that top 10 category, or that top 10 for this stage. And then you've got Brock Hager and Max Eddy in the number 11 spot, 2:12:11:11. And then you got Xavier Disseltre in the number 12 spot, same 2:12:11. So both of those guys tied for that spot. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. But just taking a look at this, Seth Quintero finishing up 17th, Christina Guerrero in the 18th, Corbin Leverton in that number 20 spot, finishing up. And then let's take a look. See, I don't see any of the other players. I don't see Nasser Al-Attiyah. I don't see any of these guys up in those top spots. So very interesting. I'm guessing we're going to see. Obviously, we're seeing some sandbagging here. Plenty of sand to go around. That was a total dad joke. All right, let's take a look at what the overall rankings are looking like. Remember, these results are provisional. They are dependent on the FIM getting through all of the protests, getting through all of that stuff, and then putting their seal of approval on it and saying, yes, those are your stage 10 results. Therefore, these are your overall classifications. So let's take a look at this. Ladigan in that number 1 spot. He is back, putting some time on Al-Raji. Now a 2 minute and 27 second deficit for the two. If you remember, the tables had flipped on that one. 47 hours, 32 minutes, and 24 seconds for Al-Raji. Again, that's a 2 minute and 27 second gap. Tyus Ekstrom in the number 3 spot, 47 hours, 56 minutes, and 43 seconds. He's going to be 26 minutes back. So the race obviously is up top 1 and 2, very, very close together. Ekstrom still bringing up the rear, but again, 26 minutes is a long way to go, but it's also not, because we do have a long way to go still. It is not over by any means. It is still going to be some time to get to the end of the stage here. Let me pop the spreadsheet open really quick, and we'll take a look at this. All right, so stage 10 is done. So now these guys we've cut it down to 396 miles to the finish, or roughly 638 kilometers. So still, that is absolutely a bunch of time left. Now, some of that is liaison, and some of that is obviously special stage. And I don't know. I mean, stage 10, we're on the tail end of it. 11 is probably the last stage to really make up a chunk of time before the finishing stage. The finishing stage is very, very short this year. We're looking at 38 miles. So really what we've got, and we'll go through the top 10 in the vehicles here in just a second. Well, let's get that done, and then we'll jump back to the final thoughts on this, because it's going to be interesting. All right. Nasser Al-Attiyah in the overall right now sits 4th, 48 hours and 18 seconds, 30:21 back. Mitch Guthrie and Kellen Walsh in the number 5 spot, Ford M Sport, 48 hours, 24 minutes, and 2 seconds. And then it is Serradori in the number 6 spot, Century Racing Factory Team, going to be 48 hours, 29 minutes, and 38 seconds. Then it is Jacopini in the number 7 spot, Overdrive Racing, 49 hours, 3 minutes, and 27 seconds for him. He is going to be 1 hour, 33 minutes back from the lead. And then taking a look, it is in the number 8 spot. So looking at a top 10, Seth Quintero, Toyota Gazoo Racing, 49 hours, 6 minutes, and 42 seconds, finishing 1 hour, 36 minutes, and 45 seconds back. Excuse me, not finishing. That's the current gap before the stage, or before the end of the rally. Ferreira in the number 9 spot, X-Raid Mini JCW Team, 49 hours, 38 minutes, and 32 seconds for him. And then Barawantha in that number 10 spot, Century Racing Factory Team, 49 hours, 47 minutes, and 3 seconds for him. There's going to be 2 hours, 17 minutes, and 6 seconds out of the lead. So very, very interesting to see. Brock Hager and Max Eddy continue to lead the SSV category. Got a long way to go. But you know what's interesting about that is that Masek Tamask Svanda from the Czech Republic, in the semi-truck class are currently 17th and ahead of the UTV of Brock Hager and Max Eddy. 52 hours, 39 minutes, and 23 seconds. They're almost a full hour. They're about 40 minutes ahead in time. That is crazy. If you guys know what I'm talking about, we're talking about 45-inch tall tires, 2,000 horsepower diesel motors with, diesels that are, or turbos that are this big, and just animals. I've heard them compared from Justin and Kira that it seems like you're just walking like on a Star Wars movie set, that, just walking in between giants as they come by, and coming over the dunes and going through the dunes. And now I understand the red flags is, you hear them. They make a lot of noise, but it's difficult to pinpoint where they're at. And then all of a sudden they just crest a dune. So it's pretty interesting to see one of those guys so far up. Awesome. Okay. That is your results for now. Let's talk really quickly of what we think we've got coming up. So we know we're getting to the end of the rally. Stage number 11 is going to be coming up tonight, or for us here tonight. And right now it is currently 4 p.m. in Saudi. So I know these guys are getting ready for a big stage. Why is it a big stage? Tomorrow, stage number 11 represents really the last chance these guys are going to have to make up time. The stage is set for 507 kilometers total, or 314 miles total. But 144 miles or 232 kilometers of that is the liaison, which means 275 kilometers of racing or 171 miles. Now, 171 miles, that's plenty of time to make up time, but then you're going to start relying on mistakes from the people in front of you. You're going to be relying on navigational errors on the people in front of you. So that's where a lot of these guys that are further back in this last stage, they're cutting down the part about navigation, right? You finishing further back, you now have some more tracks in front of you. You're taking the trickiness out of it, hopefully, because if there's a nuclear node on this thing, then it all goes in the trash and everybody ends up hanging out in the desert in the same spot. So that is going to be the last time you have the last chance tomorrow to make any big moves that rely on either navigation or that rely on either injury or mechanical, right? It's been a long rally just to get to this point. They still got some miles to clear, 171 miles or 275 kilometers for tomorrow, because after that, it's literally just a walk in the park. 38 kilometers for the finish line on stage number 12. That's it. You're going to go a total of, 38 miles. So you're going to go a total of 80 miles on the final day. 80 miles is nothing. And especially because more than half of that is just commuting to the start line. So be ready. I think that tomorrow's stage number 11, is probably going to be pretty interesting to see. I think we're going to see some last minute pushes to try and get those stage wins, or get that stage win to be able to make up that time. Daniel Sanders is going to have to lose a bit of time in order for Tasha Sharena to pick that up. He is currently the highest placed Honda, but everybody on the field behind, you could just have a slingshot of a run getting out into this empty quarter area and obviously better your odds of making up time. Daniel Sanders, the current rally leader, he's pretty far down in the starting order for tomorrow. So that's going to definitely, he's going to benefit from that. So that is on the moto side. Now you've got the car side of it. The car side of it, a 2-minute gap, that's nothing. These guys are going to be trading first and second place the whole way to the end of the rally. They are within that striking distance to be able to literally play that game the entire way. So it literally is a toss-up. Daniel Sanders, I kind of hate to say it. Yeah, it's a little early to do so still get that prediction, but things are kind of pointing in the right direction. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. So anyway, what do you guys think? Do you guys think we're on point? You think we're going to get an interesting stage tomorrow out of these guys, with that final push? Or you think everybody's going to chill and just, make sure they make it to that finishing stage or the finisher stage? I don't know. What do you guys think? So anyway, don't forget, like, share, subscribe. We are almost on the tail end of the Dakar Rally, and we're going to be switching gears. We've got some stuff coming on some of the local rallies here. I know you guys this is the Dakar fever, this is everything, and we're going to have the Dakar hangover after this. But shortly thereafter, that begins the what if. So we're going to help you with that. We're going to talk about it. I've got some guests coming up. We're going to be talking about the numbers behind the Dakar Rally, getting to the Dakar Rally, what kind of figures, what kind of cost that is. We'll talk a little bit more as well about a game plan, right? If you wanted to get to the Dakar, we've been talking with Willem Avenant. We have that whole series of Decoding Dakar and talking about that stuff. We'll do a summary on it, and then we'll do a recap of his rally. You know, Willem has been doing the Dakar Rally, the 2025 edition, the hard way. You know, he's back of the pack. He's focused on finishing the Dakar Rally. You know, it is his lifelong dream, and he's almost there. So we'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about the future plans before we finish up with our Dakar coverage and go from there. Anyway, with that being said, remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.